Hello, Master Numerologist Andre Moore, and today I like to take a look at the name Francis, Pope Francis, and I like to take a look at his birth cycles and his life destiny and the numbers that he left on this called the transitional numbers. So let's put up Pope Francis. I'm not gonna vibrate on Pope because Pope is generic and all popes carry the name Pope, but I will take a look at Francis's birth name. Francis. So let's write it again. Francis. So you notice the first thing I like to do is count the letters. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he has 7 letters. That's our very first clue. So, second thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the soul urge. And how I do that is I separate the vowels from the consonants. So A will give a vibration of a 1, and I will have a vibration of a 9. And then you add those two numbers together. So 10, which further breaks down to a 1 soul urge. And a soul urge is an inner vibration. A lot of times you won't see it. It's something that the individual keeps from within. Because he has a 1 soul urge, that means that he really enjoyed his time alone, away from his responsibilities and his duties. That was very important to him. His downtime, his quiet time, his time of solitude, the time away from the spotlight was very important to Francis within his soul. But chances are he really couldn't display that. He couldn't display the attitude where, just leave me alone. I need to take 5. This is just too much madness here, and I just wish I could run away. No, he's a pope, and so he has to make himself available. But within his soul, he did desire um, time for himself. Next piece of information is called the dream, and so the dream is the consonant. So that'll be a 6, 9, 5, 3, 1 energy. So that's 24, 6. That's the dream. Okay, now the dream. I'm gonna have to break this down in 2 parts because the first part of the 6 energy was activated. It really wasn't a dream. He was in the public eye. Understood? He's the Pope, and he's responsible for the responsibility of the Catholic Church. He was very social, had to be very social, had to be very available. But the dream was for him to have had to have the experience of having someone special in his life, like a wife, and perhaps children and grandchildren, a personal family. So this part of the 6 will be impersonal, right? I got to meet my constituents. I got to go and kiss the babies and talk to the mothers and pray. Right. I understand all of that. But the dream was in this life, even though I didn't sign up for that, how would it have been if I did have someone personal in my life, like a wife and children? Okay? That's the dream. Because popes are not allowed to get married, and they take a vow of celibacy. And so he denied himself, or he sacrificed himself, so that he may be available to the larger community, to the larger nation, and to the larger world. Then the third piece of information is called the expression. And what you do is, let me just write the name again. Uh, then you just break down all the numbers. And that's going to give me a 34-7 expression. ION. Okay, the 7. That's outward. Everybody see it. You wear it on your sleeves. And of course, the 7 energy is exponent. Is don't really have to explain that. He's a pope. He's a Catholic. His job is to pray for people, to go visit people that's in need of healing. He has his duty within the with the cardinals. He had to make he had to determine the direction in which the church is going to go, and his say so affects all the Catholics around the whole world. So that's the expression. You're going to see that every day of his life. So the expression is outward, the soul is inner, and then he has the dream. Okay? Um, so the dream and the soul must vibrate to the expression. But like I said, he has more than one name. And so this is just an aspect. If I was to do a reading on the fullness of his name, that soul urge may change, and that dream may change, and that expression may change. But I'm just going to focus on Francis because that's how he was known to the world. Okay? Now, let's go just a little bit deeper. Now remember the dream of the 6. Let's see how active that 6 energy became in his life. So, and remember he has 7 letters. So you already saw the 7 pop up in his expression. So let's write down Francis again. Francis. And so we got a 6, got a 9, a 1, a 5, a 3, a 9, and a 1. So you can see that he have double 9s and he have double 2s. So the double 9s itself explains itself. He's the Pope, and he was able to direct the church that affected Catholics around the United States of America, around the whole world. Then he had his 2 1s vibrational energy. The Pope is the highest position that you can take in the Catholic Church, and so he achieved that. But here, the first earth tone is a 6, and the first vowel is a 1. But right in here, you see how the 6 energy of service to society kicks back in. And then over here, you see there's another 6 vibrational energy that kicks in right there. And then here, you have a 9 pattern, 5, 3, 9, 1, brings you back to a 9 energy right there. So you see the dream was the 6, but he was very active on a very social level. You understand? Because you see the 6 here, and you see the 6 here, and then the 9 energy are numbers of servitude. Now, he do carry this 3 energy right here, and I want you guys to remember that energy there, because you're probably going to see it pop up again. And then when you put all this energy together here, you're going to get a 34-7 vibrational energy. Okay? Which is another 7. So now we've seen 3 7s. We've seen the 7 in his expression. He has 7 letters in his name. And when you combine the all the energy together, there's a 34-7. Remember, keep an eye on this 3 energy. You see it's popping up again, and it's popped up there. But we've seen the 7 energy 3 times so far. And so 3 times 7 is going to give us 21 energy. So 3 times 7 equals 21, which is going to give us back to that 3 energy. You see how that 3 energy is popping up, and it's popping up for a reason. Okay? It's popping up for a reason. So let's take a look at his birth cycles. Those are the numbers that he came in on and his destiny. He was born in the month of December. So you saw how that 3 energy popped up in a very strong way. He was born on the 17th. But you notice how the 7 energy is still trailing him. Okay? In the year of 1936. Once again, you see the 6 energy. You saw it in Francis with the 6-9 energy. I showed you that. Here's the 3 energy popping up again. Those numbers are very important to him in this particular incarnation. Okay? Which is going to give us a vibration of 1. So his numbers will look like something like this. I'm going to break it down. 3, 8, 1, which is going to give him a destiny of a 3 destiny. So, now, he's born in December, which is a 3. He came to Earth to express himself, to communicate. I believe he spoke 4 or 5 different languages. That would be a 3 energy, because the 3 energy rules communication. But these 2 3s make that 6 energy. Remember, the dream is the 6th level. But the 6 energy was more outward than inward, because he really dreamed of having a personal love in his life and having children. So that's his life path. And you can see he was very successful, but he was successful on a spiritual level. That's what this 8 is saying. He was very successful on a spiritual level. You understand? And he also had 3 1s. He has a 1 here, a 1 here, and a 1 here. Once again, the 3 pops up saying that he was definitely into expressing himself, orally. He's probably written a lot of papers. He might have enjoyed reading. In his quiet times, spare times, he might have enjoyed the theater or movies or books. Or he might have been interested in, let's say, anthropology. Because it's very strong. Like I said, I don't know the man personally, but I'm quite sure people that knew him probably would attest that he really enjoyed maybe the arts as well. Very creative. Areas of his life that perhaps wasn't on public display, but privately, he probably enjoyed, like I said, a good book, or he might have had some artistic talents, or he might have liked to have seen. Okay? That's the destiny, is the 3 energy. Okay, now, one final piece of information I want to take a look at right quick. That's how he came into the world, with a 3 destiny. But he left on the 4, the 21, 20, 25. So there's our friend again. the 3 energy. The 4, you see our 7, it popped up right then and there, right? And then this is a 9 energy here. Okay? And as you can see, he left in the 7th vibrational energy. He's the king. He's the Catholic king. He's the Pope. So he came in on a 3, but he left on a 7. He elevated his vibrational frequency all the way. I mean, he still retained his 3 energy. Don't get it twisted. He still enjoyed maybe laughter, having fun, entertainment. He probably was a jester. He probably liked playing, tricks on individuals. But he definitely left on the 7 energy, meaning that he was really connected to the God force, to the Godhead. And I thought it was very interesting that on Easter, that he was public. Remember, the 6 energy is public. The 9 energy is public. He was public. And he got a chance to meet, I believe, the Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance, and you saw him doing his thing, hugging the babies, kissing the babies, shaking hands, spreading love on on Easter, which is representing the resurrection of the Christ energy. You understand? The 7 energy represents the Christ energy. So he chose to leave on that particular vibrational number. So his exit numbers is a 4, 3, 9. That breaks down to the 7 energy. Okay. This 4 is significant because the 2 twos. You got a 2 here. You got a 2 here, and you got a 2 here. Bring us back to the dream, the 6 energy, right? I just intuitively, I just feel that, he was trying to reform the Catholic Church in a lot of ways. He wanted to make it a little bit more liberal, and not so conservative. And he worked on trying to reach out to the immigrants, because his family, they was immigrants. He was not born wealthy, but he ended up dying. He died at age 88. Meaning that even though he didn't have personal wealth, or he didn't come from money, the Catholic Church, the Vatican is worth around like $16 million. It's not his money, but it's the asset. So on one level, that 8 energy of wealth, but on another level, the 8 energy is about authority. He definitely had authority because he's the Pope, and he was very successful in changing some of the cardinals' minds about how the church should move into a more maybe liberal position, to get away from some of the stack, or to get away from the box. Because the 4 energy is a box energy, to get away from some of the old rules and regulations, like maybe let a pope take a wife, if they choose to do so. Give them an option if they want to get married versus, is a requirement to be a celibate, because he had a dream of having a personal life, and that could have been a good reference, that would have been a good change within the Catholicism. So he worked to embrace more of people that had, different sexual point of views than a conservative point of view of man and woman. And he worked to try to reach out to a lot of immigrants. So this 7 energy definitely was very successful, very powerful. And you see our friend, the 6 energy popped up again here. But the 7 energy, once again, was denoting an individual that took his faith very seriously. And not only did he take his faith very seriously, he was one of the higher vibrational popes that we've had. And one last piece of information, his number, at the time of his death, there was 266 popes. And you see, there go our friend again, his 3 energy, which was his destiny. But there are 2 6s popping up in there, right? He was the 266th Pope. So I think that's just a tip in information. That's just another piece of information to kind of validate this particular reading. Okay, so rest in peace, my brother. You came to Earth. You sacrificed your personal life so that others may have, and that's a very admirable mission. He was successful at his mission because of the 8 energy, the double 8, so doubly successful with his vibrational energy. But he did dream of maybe having a family and children, and his within his soul urge, he really valued the time away from the spotlight. He needed that alone time, perhaps to pray, perhaps to meditate, perhaps to make his connection with God a lot more stronger before he made himself available to the world. All right, so rest in peace, my brother. And so that's a quick look at his soul urge, his dream, his expression, his life path, and his transitional numbers. And I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope you got something out of that. And until the next video, peace.